This is your favorite time of year.
No. They think I'm lying, but I am having a double crown tomorrow, and I'm going to enjoy that more than I have today. 2 hours in the dental chair is more fun than this. But I did just get, this is up to the minute news, Theo's out of surgery.
Was there ever a time you enjoyed this process?
No.
Not even your first one?
No. I mean, you think about it, I'm a coach, and this is nothing, it's your business, and you got to do a good job of it. But how many times do you think I'm asked every question? I picked the top 11 questions, I'm asked that 44 times in one day, so that if there was a better way to do it, it would be, but I don't know that there is. If I did, I'd have Brian Morrison's job.
So you'll be well rehearsed by the time we ask those questions again, since you've been twice.
Well, you remember, I was last year, at the last time, because we had the circular table. And so the last group came over and they said 10 more minutes. So I asked questions. I asked everybody, what was your favorite TV show? And I got 9 or 10 answers. I had never seen one of the shows. I said, it's not on ESPN, so I don't get it. So the last time I asked all the questions instead of waiting for the press.
So you've been around this league. You've been around this league a long time, and you guys have talked about as a league getting 10, 11 bids kind of thing as a goal. Haven't quite gotten there yet, but the tournament success, particularly the last 2 years, has been really strong. Is bids go hand in hand with tournament success and judging best league kind of thing, or status as a league? Do you think? Where does this rank?
Well, you asked about 4 things. The status of the league, I think, tournament success does happen. The prestige of the league, I think it does help more than anything else when you play well in the tournament at the end of the year. If you have all 4 teams in the Final Four, does that help you get teams in the next year? I don't know about that, but people remember how you play at the end of the year. I've said that many times. I wish there was a way we could make the regular season more important also, and not just think about what's down the road. Because I enjoy this game, I enjoy the next game, I enjoy the next game. But the tournament is the way that everybody remembers. But as I said, everybody says, yeah, such and such a league is the best. There's nobody better than the ACC. I mean, all those guys, they can say what they want, but if they had a choice, they'd rather stay where they are.
Coach, how's Theo doing?
I have no idea. I seriously, 5 minutes ago, got that text message that the surgery is over. I'm going to go see him. After you guys excuse me, I'm going to go see Theo.
You should be getting used to this by now, because last year you had Marcus who was out. I mean, does it ever get easier to deal with? And because you've had it before, does it help you this time in trying to deal with it?
No, I think the first thing you think about is how the young man deals with it. Marcus was crushed. Theo was more than crushed, because Marcus and I used Rick Pitino. I have given him credit, but I've used Rick Pitino's line many times since the season was over with, is that Bryce Johnson and Marcus Page are not walking in that door. So everybody's got to step up their game. And for someone like Theo, who's worked really hard in the offseason, is playing better, first 14 practices, really played well. So I think what I try to think of is that individual. Get through that, you get him back, the surgery's okay, and then they tell you how long he's going to be out, and then you start thinking about what's the effect long term for your team. I have no idea how long Theo's going to be out. I'm hopeful that we'll get him back, but that's all it is hopeful, because I don't have any idea. But what it does is that if I'd had to play a game last Thursday night, Theo would have started. And so now somebody's got to get those minutes. And so is it going to be Nate Britt? Is it going to be Kenny Williams? Is it going to be Brandon Robinson? Whoever gets those minutes, if they do well, if they succeed, and if they have good moments, that's really going to make them better at the end of the year. And then if you do get Theo back and he's ready to play, that makes your team stronger. But I'd rather make my team stronger by just everybody improving themselves instead of losing them.
William, you have a sense of
last week about Theo's and the treatment plan for getting reviews. Is there an option not to have surgery? How was that process decision making?
Well, I think there's always an option. We talked about those options well, but the decision to do surgery was the best decision. It's what everybody agreed.
Do you have a sense of what this year's team has to hang its hat on, night in and night out? What kind of
Not yet. I think we have practiced 16 times. But it's here. We go scrimmage Memphis this weekend. The next weekend we have an exhibition game, and the next weekend we start. And But I really believe that you don't know that much about your team until you really get in the meat of your season. I mean, last year people were kicking us in the rear end. You know, we lose at Northern Iowa, we lose at Texas. And we get it started going a little bit, and then we lose at Louisville, at Notre Dame, and at Virginia, and Duke at home. But yet, you know, we still did okay. And I think you really determine that once your season really gets started.
Those secret scrimmages, like the one you mentioned against Memphis.
Private.
Well, whatever. You know,
It's
you know
not
what
secret. I told you about it.
you know what I mean. How beneficial are those as opposed to playing a D2 school?
You know, you can have 2 exhibition games, you can have 2 scrimmages, or you can have a mix. We do 1 exhibition game and 1 scrimmage. Our business manager would like us to do 2 exhibition games because you make more money. I've talked to coaches who do 2 scrimmages who really think that's the best. So I like a little bit of a mix. The scrimmage, you can control things, you can correct them right at that moment. You get a different look in a practice scenario. The exhibition games gives you a chance to see how your kids react with people in the stands. Do they all of a sudden forget what secondary break dribble is supposed to be? And so I think you gain benefits from both of them. You know, Tubby doesn't have full complement of players, so you know, you have to be concerned about the other team. We get together and talk about what we're going to do.
When you look at replacing Theo, obviously you mentioned some options already. You know, who are you looking to fill that role, and what are you looking for to fill that second wing spot?
Everything. You know, again, and I know you don't like this answer, but it's the truth. It's too early to tell. If we had to play a game last Thursday, I would have started Theo. If we have to play a game tonight, I do not know who I would start. Because we've had 2 practices without Theo. But Nate Brick, Kenny Williams, and Brandon Robinson play that spot, and we'll be able to do some things. We can add some things. You can help yourselves with ball handling, hurt yourself on your backboards. You know, it depends on who you put in there. But, you know, I know it doesn't make your article any better, but I'm telling you the truth, you just don't know.
You mentioned 2 weeks ago something about going small a little bit more with this group. Not having Theo, how does that affect how often you can do that?
Well, you know, we talked about it because last year we had 5 big guys, and all 5 of them played. I think all 5 big guys played. I think Luke and Joel James, Isaiah Bryce, and who I'm leaving out, Kennedy, all played in the national championship game. So this year we only have 4. And post players. So last year we played a small lineup sometimes because it was either to match the other team or to give us an advantage against the other team. And so I think that we'll probably be more prone to do it this year. Now you lose Theo, that just means most of that time of a guy sliding down would probably be Justin Jackson because nobody else has ever practiced it.
Do you have a sense of whether this can be just as good a rebounding team as it was last year?
You don't think so. It's like I said, Bryce Johnson's not walking in that gym. And he was the best rebounder in the ACC last year, either in conference games or total games, 23 rebounds in 1 game. So everybody, we got to rebound more by team, rebound by committee, if you don't have that one sensational rebound.
I know that you just touched on, and obviously you don't want to have other guys come along faster with an injured player, but how amplified are the opportunities for a guy like Kenny Williams, who just had a couple of sparks here and there last year, and then with Brandon?
And see, when we talked about it a second ago, you don't really know what's going on until you find out the results. Okay, if they came back and say Theo will be ready next Monday, then we'll be happy and we'll go. If they say he's out 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, then you start making plans. But I do believe that if those guys who take his place or take his minutes, they've got to be successful. If they're not successful, it's bad. And so, but if they take some minutes and they're successful, long term, it does have an opportunity to help you. Last year we didn't have Marcus at Northern Iowa, we lose the game. I don't necessarily think that helped us. Marcus came back, he scored 20-something first game against Maryland. I think that he might have been able to score the same amount of points if he hadn't missed those previous games. So you never really know how an injury is going to, whether it's going to help you or hurt you or whatever.
You've had 2 practices, you said?
Yes, we practiced, I guess 3. Practiced Friday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Is there any way in practice that you can teach a kid not to foul quite as much?
Scream at him.
You know who I'm talking about.
You'll have to ask me at the end of the season if it worked, because that's all I've done.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've sat down with Isaiah and talked to him about it. I mean, you need him to stay on the floor. Does he kind of understand that?
He gets it, but now you got to be able to change habits, and I think that we'll focus and emphasize that, focus on it and emphasize it a great deal with Isaiah the entire preseason practice. As soon as we scrimmage Memphis, we're going to emphasize it. As soon as we play the exhibition against UNC Pembroke, we're going to emphasize it. And I think it's something that we'll emphasize every single day. He's got to be the one to do it.
Joel mentioned that Isaiah's conditioning has gotten a lot better, and that can kind of help him with, fouling, not being fatigued, leading the fouls. You notice the same thing?
Well, but I'll add one thing to it. Still, we had 5 guys rotating those big spots this year. Last year and this year we have 4. So there could be more fatigue. But I think Isaiah's in better shape than he's been in the past. And I've started him 3 times. I think I'm right. I think he started 3 games in his college career. And in all 3 games, I've had to take him out the first 2.5 to 3 minutes because he gets so hyped. All of a sudden, in Nassau, I thought he was having a heart attack. He ran over the bench and he's going like this and that kind of thing. But he's got to be able to handle the story.
Along those same lines, do you have any depth concerns at the big man positions? And what do you expect out of Luke May and Tony Bradley, what they can bring this season?
Well, I definitely have concerns. That's what we talked about. If there's a possibility we go small more this year than we did last year. It was better when you had Theo or Justin Jackson who could slide down. Right now, Justin's the only one you have. But I think that if you only have 4 big guys, they're all going to play. I mean, for us, the way we play, they're all going to play. And so who plays the best? I want Luke May to be a great player, Kennedy to be a great player, Isaiah to be a great player, Tony Bradley to be a great player. Kennedy, the last couple of days, has really had good practices. Tony shows some flashes of really, really being a special player. Isaiah's been a little more consistent, and Luke gives you a possibility where I can step out and shoot the ball from distance that drags the other team's big guy.
What intrigues you the most about this team as you look at them in practice so far?
Oh, what intrigues me the most, really, can those guys, Joel, Justin, Isaiah, can those guys step up when the defense is aimed at them? Because last year, they didn't start talking about we got to stop Isaiah Hicks. They started talking about Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson. So can those other guys now step up and accelerate their play? Elevate their play to that level when the defense is aimed at them. 2009 we won it, and down the stretch, Tyler Hansbrough was great. He didn't have to do everything because Wayne Ellington, Ty Lawson, and Dion, and those guys, they were doing even more because they got more confident. They started getting easier shots early because of Tyler Hansbrough, and then it just gave them more confidence to get better.
Regarding Theo's minutes, how valuable is it that you have a guy like Nate with all of his experience that you can perhaps put in that spot and give you some gravitas there?
Well, Nate's played the 2 spot before. When he's played with Marcus in the game, he was the 2-man a lot. 2 years ago, his sophomore year, more so than last year. But no, I don't want to worry about thinking about how happy I am to have depth. I'd really keep everybody healthy kind of thing. But I think you're exactly right that I do have more confidence in Nate because I've already seen what he can do. And I think Nate's really worked hard in the offseason also.
Roy, what was your reaction when they moved the NCAA tournament out of Greensboro? And how disappointing is it to not have that carrot for your team to play at home in front of in-state fans?
Well, my first feeling is just how, I guess you could say sad or mad or both, because I think it's given people outside of North Carolina a different opinion of North Carolina, and that's very sad. That ruling is not what the people of North Carolina stand for. I think it's very bad, it's embarrassing, it's shameful, it's not what we should have. So my first thought is not about, oh gosh, we're going to get to play in Greensboro. Where was Greensboro?
He was Greensboro, yeah.
I have not thought one second about, gosh, if we win, we don't get to play in Greensboro. Because I think it's a bigger issue than just that issue itself. It's shameful that we have so many venues in this state that do such a great job running tournaments, events like that, and now those people put in a tremendous amount of work and it's taken away from them. And again, the biggest thing is that's not the picture that we want to send out about our home state.
From a basketball standpoint, is it disappointing to not be able to have that, be able to play here, or does it matter? And I know you said you play on the moon if you
yeah, but it really is. That's secondary. I mean, I'm just disgusted with the whole blankety blank thing. It's just, I really have not. Right now, you're making me think about that, but I have not thought about that. I just think it's shameful.
What you seen in the new guys, did any of them surprise you, or one way or the other?
Yes, in both directions.
Yeah. Care to elaborate?
Tony Bradley's really had some good moments. He's like a little horse out there. His elbows and knees going everywhere and that kind of thing. But and all of a sudden he's at the basket and he's laying it in, or he's at the basket blocking a shot. He's really going to be a good player. And you want him to just. I tell all the freshmen, I'm throwing things at you every day. Try to catch one or two. Tomorrow catch one or two more. Try to add something. I'm not going to hold everybody back and go at your pace. You've got to increase your pace of learning to make us move on. Tony's done some good things. Brandon's done some good things. Seventh Woods is finally starting to get healthy enough, and practice yesterday he did a couple of things that he hadn't done all year, and I told him, I said, that's what I recruited you for.
A few weeks ago, you talked a little bit about how easy it is for teams to start off really strong and excited. Have you seen any decline in that over the past few weeks?
No, I always challenge teams because I say 351 teams have a great attitude the first week, and most of them have it the second week, and then the numbers go down as you go along. And I challenge our guys to have a great attitude all the time. We did last year. If I got mad at the team last year, it was just for something that they did. It wasn't habits that they had built. So I think it'd be that kind of thing too.
Kenny Williams said last year, the night that you had him on Brogdon for like 8 minutes in the ACC title game, he said afterward that his defense was way ahead of his offense. A couple weeks ago, he said he thinks his offense is catching up. Is it catching up?
Well, I recruited, the first thing that caught my eye, this was the spring of his junior year. He made 5 threes in one game, and he took 3 charges. So that's a pretty good mix. That's like having a guy that makes 5 threes and also gets 5 follow dunks. That's a pretty good mix. So I think he is a complete player. I think last year the ball didn't go in the hole for him early, and that bothered him even more. I'm hopeful that experience that he went through last year will keep that from happening. But he is one of our best, if not our best, perimeter defensive player. So I think that that's going to get him some extra time there too.
Coach, from a recruiting standpoint, you just got a commit from Sterling Manley, a dude that's really been plagued by injuries for 2 years and a recruiting process that seemed to happen pretty quickly. What did you see in that young man that made you move so quickly?
Can't answer that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Until they've signed the national letter, we can't say.
Okay, apologies.
No problem.
You just were saying that Kenny Williams last season, the ball didn't go in the hole. If you're considering starting him, has he shown kind of anything in practice that makes you think this season will be different?
Yeah, the ball's gone in the basket more, and that always helps you. But I really have not, because we've got basically 2.5 more weeks before I even have to decide who's going to start. But I'll still say what I said earlier, that Nate, Kenny, and Brandon would be the more logical candidates to replace Theo. So if we'd played last Thursday, I probably would have started Theo.
Some of the guys have said that Brandon Robinson's really been shooting very well. Has that aspect of his game surprised you a little bit?
No. I saw Brandon's another guy. I think I saw him make either 5 or 6 in one game, but he was inconsistent. I think he's been more consistent with it through 16 practices than I saw him when I recruited him. 6'5", 153, so he's got some other things he's got to work on too.
Seventh, what would you like to see from him to be able to contribute?
Seventh Woods, use the talents that he has. The thing that got me in recruiting is how his speed with the ball, and that way I like to play, having a point guard that can really push the ball up right somebody's behind their back and not knowing what's coming. That's a skill and a talent that I really treasure. And so bad knee, sprained his ankle in the summer, so it's just, I really do believe this is the last 2 practices, or the first 2 practices he's had, and he has started to show us those qualities that he has.
How hard is it to come in and try to play point guard right away in your system with the ACC?
Well, it's hard in the ACC. It's hard at any place at our level. It's really hard at our place, but Ty Lawson did it after 5 games. Marcus Page did it the first game. We've had a lot of guys that do it. Count my times in Kansas. I started Adonis Jordan. I started Kirk Conker as a freshman. Jeff Bose as a freshman. Aaron Miles as a freshman. So we've had a lot of guys.
With his athleticism, is that? I mean, obviously that's something that he's kind of known for. Has he kind of shown that? Has he been able to in practice, or has he been healthy?
Not as much yet, because he's been sort of feeling his way, and you can't go 100% unless you know where you're going. If you're trying to say, do I turn right or turn left, what do? You slow down. And that's the way he's been playing right now. Is he doesn't have that innate feel about where to go and what to do, and just play. And it's catch 22. It's okay. Don't play. Think before you play. And then what do you say next? Come on, think. Don't worry about thinking. Just play. I mean, it's a silly kind of thing, but you got to be able to do both.
As Joel kind of settled in as a seventh piece of the backcourt, now that Marcus is gone, how different are things for him this year?
I think it's different for Joel in the fact that he doesn't have Marcus. He's going to be asked to do more leadership things. Last year he followed Marcus's lead. I think the other thing, he's much more confident. His freshman year he was banged up, beat up all year long. But his sophomore year he's healthy, made some drastic improvements. So I think that in itself will give him some confidence. And confidence usually makes you play better team.
Along those lines, during the postseason last year, his turnovers dropped, his assists conditions were scoring. What took place there? What do you attribute it to?
The same thing, confidence, knowing that he can do it. And in a little bit what I was saying about seventh, he wasn't thinking, where am I supposed to be? He instinctively went to the right place and then think about what I'm doing now that I get here. And I think that even though it's freshman year, wasn't what we had hoped for, what he had hoped for, again, because he beat up the whole year, I think the sophomore year really did give him a
Is Kennedy Meeks a finished product at this point, or do you think he's still got levels he can reach? Not jumping.
No, I was just damn air conditioner about to wear me out. Mr. Kirschman, could I borrow that? That belongs to me, thank you.
That's what I do today.
College education. Amy was trying to get somebody to hug me and got a spot on my shirt. All right, Kennedy Meeks finished product. No, I think that he can get better. I think the last, in fact, I've told him this, told the whole team this, his last 2 practices have been his best practices of the year. He even banged his knee up in the practice on Monday, and the old Kennedy would have taken 73 days off. And this time he practiced the whole practice yesterday and continued to keep the same kind of level of play that he did before. He's done the most difficult work already, and that's to lose the weight. And now he's got to realize who he is. He's more athletic. He can make moves quicker. He can be more explosive. And if he does that and translate it to every day, then I think he really does have some steps to take.
Along those same lines, of the returning players, Hicks, Meeks, Barry, Jackson, who do you think takes the biggest step this season to produce for your team?
Well, it's hard to say it's going to be Joel because Joel was ace.